Hey everybody, welcome back to Thursday. It's hot news time. Let's go ahead and jump right into everything because we don't have a sponsor for today or anything. It's just like, if you could hit the like button, that'd be like the equivalent. I really appreciate them. So go ahead and hit that like button. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on into the hot news. So first up, I want to actually talk about the products that were released yesterday that, I mean, everybody's talking about, and that's Nvidia's brand new graphics card, the Tesla T4 Tensor Core GPU. It has 320 Turing Tensor cores, which is actually not a whole heck of a lot, and it has 2,560 CUDA cores, but get this, comes in at an energy efficient 75 watts. So it's basically like an RTX 2070, but with a much lower TDP and aimed at like the actual professional market. So if you want at all tensor performance, the Tesla T4 Tensor Core GPU, it's the thing that dropped yesterday that everyone's talking about. Okay, obviously joke is joke. Let's talk about the thing that everybody actually was talking about yesterday, which is the Apple stuff. You've probably seen it in a million places, so I want to like just kind of briefly skim over the things that they did launch, and let's go ahead and talk about everything else that they did screw up on and never actually talked about, because that's the most important thing, is what Apple didn't do yesterday, not what they actually did do. So you got the new XS, XS Max, and XR iPhones costing anywhere from $750 for the XR to up to nearly $1,500 for the XS Max with 512 gigabytes of storage. The XS starts at $999. They're basically the exact same thing. One's bigger, as the original iPhone 10. That like I'm still struggling to find a reason why I need to buy the new one, especially at a super high price. They also launched the Apple Watch Series 4. This new watch actually got certification from the Food and Drug Administration to be certified for taking an EKG reading, also known as an electrocardiogram, which measures your heart stuff, which is pretty cool. Probably exactly what smart watches and like wearable devices need, like a better integration than just like showing you what your notifications are, like actual useful implementations of measuring your biometrics. Also, that just gives Apple more data to sell and makes them worth $2 trillion. The new phones are launching at sometime in September as well as October for the XR, and then they also updated the HomePods and blah, 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 blah. New iPhones, who everybody really cares about this, which is why everybody's talking about it. But let's go ahead and move on into the things that grind my gears about what Apple did yesterday. So I'm not going to take credit for this next one, but there is an article over at TechCrunch, the 7 most egregious fibs Apple told about the iPhone XS camera today, which is just basically, you would expect it from a marketing company saying it's the world's most popular camera, which is likely nearly impossible, because even if you're talking about phone cameras, like Samsung sells more than Apple does, so like can't actually be possible. Remarkable new dual camera system. It actually is nearly identical to the previous one, and they didn't talk about like any new upgrades. They just said it's better. Doesn't make any sense. Better image quality, whatever that means. That it has a neural engine for face detection. That's in DSLRs. Like Sony has a better auto detection than you do. And then smart HDR. Other smartphones have this. You can adjust the depth of field in the photo post. It's like, yeah, the Galaxy S9 can do that. Fantastic. Whoop-de-doo. You're not really doing anything innovative. Thanks for lying to us, Apple. Okay, but the most important bit of crap that Apple pulled yesterday is that they removed the freaking headphone dongle from your $1,000 smartphone purchase. So if you buy the new iPhone, you no longer get a $9 accessory with it, which a lot of you could be like, so what? Who cares? Like, let's just ditch the headphone jack altogether. Totally fine. But considering that it is the top selling accessory for Apple, that kind of means that people actually want this. And when you had it in one and you're removing it from another, even though you're charging people more money for these phones, it's a freaking $9 accessory retail. How much does it actually cost you to produce? Just included Apple, jeez. And then they also didn't introduce an update to the Airpods at all. I guess that's not something that I can necessarily cry about, because I just bought a pair of Airpods and I don't want them to update them because I don't want mine to be obsolete. But they apparently did like tease them in a Mission Impossible video where like the woman says, "Hey Siri," without touching her Airpods, and it actually activates, which the current Airpods can't do. So it's like a new new feature that she's showing off that they never announced. So maybe new AirPods are coming out. But the biggest thing that they did not launch was the Airpower charger. And the reason this matters is because they mentioned it last year with the launch of the iPhone 10. They were talking about how this is gonna come out. It can charge your phone, it can charge your watch, and it can charge your AirPods all at once. And they said it was supposed to come out sometime last year. Then they went completely silent on it, haven't been talking about it since. And even at the conference, they didn't talk about any sort of wireless charging technology, even though the new iPhones actually charge faster than the old iPhone. And like, they're just totally not even communicating about it, which leads me to believe that they are completely failing at actually developing the Airpower charger, because it's not like Apple to actually hype up something that they then don't produce. And then also, last thing that I'm gonna complain about here is that, not complain about, but just mention that they did behind the scenes, is that they upped the prices on their battery replacement program as well. So currently it costs $29 to get your Apple iPhone battery replaced. This is coming after the fact that it was like shown that they are intentionally degrading performance because of battery life. So they knocked the price down to $29, but as of January 1st, they are going to be raising it again for the new iPhones, the XS, XS Max, XR, and the 10 itself. It's gonna cost $69 for the 8, 8 Plus, and all the way down to the SE. It's gonna cost $49, and then all other phones that they could replace the battery on, it's gonna cost you $79. So jacking up the price there to make a little bit more money, because that dongle life isn't bringing in enough revenue for them to hit $2 trillion. And then with the introduction of the new phones, they also discontinued some of the older phones, which actually means that Apple no longer sells any phone that has a headphone jack whatsoever with the discontinuation of the 6S and the SE. This does come with also a price cut of the iPhone 7 and 8 of $100 off. So you can get the 7 and 7 Plus for $449 and $569, and you can get the 8 and 8 Plus for $599 or $699. But yeah, they discontinued all headphone jacks. That doesn't exist anymore. And then they also went ahead and discontinued the Series 1 Apple Watch and dropped the price on the Series 3 from $329 to $279, making everything a little bit cheaper overall. So some good stuff from Apple, cutting prices in certain places, cutting out products that have a feature that a lot of people want, and then removing a $9 accessory because they just don't want to include it anymore, because that's the future that they want to bring us. But then if they actually want us to adopt their AirPods and go wireless, they're not actually providing a way to charge them that's actually super easy and barely an inconvenience. So yeah, if you're going to try to force everybody to go wireless, actually have a wireless charging solution like you promised us, Apple. Okay, that went on for too long. I'm done talking about Apple. Do you guys care about the new iPhone announcement or anything else that Apple announced yesterday? Vote in that poll up there. But as long as we're talking about company bad news and things that they shouldn't be doing, let's talk about Microsoft for a second, because they introduced a feature in Windows 10 about when you want to install Firefox or Chrome. They have a little new pop-up that says you already have Microsoft Edge, the safer, faster browser on Windows 10. So, and then it gives you options to open Microsoft Edge or install anyway. And then it's the bottom line that really gets me going. Don't want to be warned in the future? Open settings. They're considering installing a web browser different than their own, a warning. I hope you get rid of this. I also hope there's like some sort of like penalty for them doing this, because this is nonsense. You know, there was a lot of cool news that came out yesterday besides the Apple stuff that I don't think people gave enough attention to, like the fact that Intel is looking into opening a graphics chip plant in Toronto. So they are actually doubling down on GPU production, even though they might be falling behind in CPU stuff and chipset production. They're working on expanding for the future for GPUs. So really good news that we're gonna have a third competitor in the GPU market, which I think is something that we all can just appreciate. Even if Intel has been resting on their laurels with CPUs, they're not doing that here with graphics cards. Go ahead and give a round of applause to Intel, everybody. Thank you for coming into the GPU market. Now Nvidia, if you just want to get into CPUs. And then also, other cool news, HP actually announced an HP Metal Jet 3D printer to actually 3D fabricate metal objects to hopefully transform the manufacturing sector. So basically, the 3D printer works by like putting layers on top of layers and actually creating an object. They melt a metallic powder and then they use it to create gears and things, and whether or not it's going to be able to hold up to like infrastructural standards, maybe not, but like there probably are lower end like metal working that you can do, like building a table frame or something like that. That'd be cool. Like if you could buy one of these and then you just manufacture all of your own furniture, that'd be dope. or like the frame of a car. Probably wouldn't meet safety standards though. It does have a limited size bed though, coming in at 430 by 320 by 200 millimeters, and it's gonna launch for a price tag in 2020, so it's not out just yet, but they're announcing it. It's gonna cost $399,000. Also news you might have missed yesterday, AMD CEO Lisa Su actually sat down with Jim Cramer from that like really crazy show where he hits a lot of buttons and talked about the company's future. She actually, while talking about all of the strengths that AMD has and how like they're gonna be successful in the CPU market, and they have plans all the way up to Zen 5 to release CPUs, and they're on track for all of that. Also kind of downplaying Nvidia's success, but basically kind of acquiescing that they did indeed lose the desktop graphics market. The one interesting thing that she did talk about was the idea of how they're working together with Microsoft and Sony for the next generation consoles. There's already been plenty of information out there that they have been developing Navi in cahoots with Sony to actually bring some sort of actual special console experience with this semi-custom SoC that they're making for video game consoles. But the interesting thing is not only that she said that they're doing that, but that it's going to have some sort of secret sauce for their consoles, which we could speculate all day about what that actually means, but there's already been some indication previously that Navi could support something akin to Infinity Fabric on the GPUs themselves, which would mean that they could have multiple GPU dies that allow them to interconnect very well and like actually give much better performance in a smaller package, especially since they're going to be produced on 7 nanometers. Obviously, this is super going out on a limb, but the secret sauce could be indicating that AMD is looking to make consoles on par with a mid-tier desktop, mid to high-tier desktop, which is entirely possible, especially since they've been working so closely with them, and the fact that they've kind of neglected their desktop lineup for right now. They probably might have big plans for 2019 and 2020. Whether or not that's actually going to happen remains to be seen, but I do know that Lisa Su isn't somebody who's a hype train, so if she's talking about secret sauce, I think she's actually got something secret brewing behind the streets. Like she's a bootlegger. This is Prohibition days. And then BMW announced a self-driving autonomous motorcycle yesterday, which is really cool. I don't know why you would need something on 2 wheels. Presumably it could go faster. Like autonomous vehicles, I think I would rather have a cage around me, but maybe like having an autonomous motorcycle means you could take like those really long road trips and still like get some decent sleep because you can pass out on the bike. Wonder how it compensates for like people on top of it. I don't know. The example, the demonstration that they showed didn't really have people on top of it. It was just the motorcycle driving by itself through obstacles. We'll have to see if that actually turns out into anything good. I'm excited for autonomous futures. It means less deaths from accidents because accidents are terrible. Now let's talk about some video games. Dauntless, which is a game that's in like early access right now. WCCF Tech actually has an interview with the game developer, and they talked about how Nvidia's deep learning super sampling actually does bring tremendous performance increases to 4K gaming, which is something pretty fantastic. I think all of us should be much more excited for deep learning super sampling, the use of the Tensor cores, than we should be for ray tracing, especially if you read this interview. They kind of do dodge it because WCCF Tech asked, does it improve image quality? And they don't answer that at all. They just say, we've seen a huge lift in performance on 4K displays. We're still working on it and uncovering the performance list, but the initial testing has been very promising. No discussion of image quality whatsoever. But then when asked about ray tracing, they said, we haven't looked at real-time ray tracing yet for Dauntless. The technology is still very new, but we're interested in digging into it and seeing the benefits it could provide us. But I mean, I think that's what we're going to see from a lot of game developers for the near future. Deep learning, super sampling, absolutely. Ray tracing, yeah, but why? I still have to make it for consoles. And then the last article, we have some leaked information about the pricing of Intel's 9th gen CPUs. And I know what you're thinking, it's going to cost a whole heck of a butt ton, but actually, pleasantly surprised, according to the leaked Singapore distributor pricing, it appears that the 9900K, which is the flagship 8-core, 16-thread processor, the i9, is only going to retail for $450. It's $90 more than the current 8700K, but when you compare it to the 1800X that AMD released last year, that was $500. So they're releasing it at $50 cheaper than AMD's last 8-core 16-thread CPU, and more than likely this is going to be a heck of a lot faster. The 9700K is expected to come in at $350, so basically replacing the 8700K, and then the 9600K we could expect to see at $250. So like decent pricing all around. I'm actually kind of shocked. That's not egregious to me. I would pay $450 for the 9900K. Yeah, it's an i9 and people are going to want that, but like that's just a solid processor. 8-core 16 threads, probably going to be able to hit 5 gigahertz. Sign me up. Okay, we're gonna wrap up the hot news there. Let me know what you thought of the Apple event, everything that they did announce, everything that they didn't announce, Intel making GPUs in Toronto, or like the BMW self-driving motorcycle, any and all of that. Let's talk about that down in the comments. I'd love to have conversations with you down there, even if we do release this at 2 a.m. South African time, so I'm always asleep when it comes out. I really do read your comments. I love you guys so much. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. Hit the like button, get subscribed. You know what to do. I really appreciate it when you guys do that. I'm gonna end it there. See your smiling faces in the next one. Love you too.